Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Two Dimes and a Token. I am one of your hosts, Brucknasty, and I am hosting alone. Well, with the intro anyway. So, thank you guys so much for your patience. We apologize for missing an episode last week. We had some technical difficulties come up. We also had some personal things arise, but we are committed to making sure we bring you amazing content. We will never quit. We will never stop. We fucking love you guys, and we love bringing you great podcasts with all different kinds of people from across the fucking world. Shouldn't curse so much in the first 5 minutes. Heard it ruins the algorithm. Anyway, I digress. So, before we dive into the episode with this absolutely superstar guest, dude, I'm super stoked to talk about it. We got to talk about the sponsor of this podcast, and that is Death Grip Wax, the #1 mustache wax in the entire industry. Period. End of story. If you're looking to take your face from a 6 to a 10, Death Grip Wax is the company for you. They have the latest and most innovative wax on the market, period. You can style it any which way that you want. They also have beard oils. They also have awesome equipment that you can utilize for combs, and it brings in a nice satchel little bag that they present to you. Amazing product. Like I said, this company is off the charts. We got to sit down with the owner. We got to do a whole different thing back in Daytona Beach for the National Beard and Mustache Championships. It was such a great time. It was an awesome company from top to bottom. They are absolutely stellar. And if you go into the links below, you can actually go to deathgripwax.com, or in that link, you can actually click under us. You'll have, take you directly to the shop, and you can use the promo code 2 Dimes and a Token. That's all caps, and get 20% off your entire purchase today. That's right. You can get 2 full years of mustache wax and get 20% off the entire thing. When you want to take your next step and you want to make sure that you look good when you're stepping out, no matter what it is, if you're going out on a date, if you're going out on a 50-year anniversary, it doesn't matter, right? When you step out of the house, make sure Death Grip Wax is styling your face. All right. Now, with this particular guest, I'll make this really, really short and quick. We had to do a virtual podcast. As you guys know, we're not huge fans of it, but we could not wait. We had to get this guy on. And I have to pull my phone up here because the list of accolades for this gentleman is absolutely elite. So this gentleman, Mr. Jose Shorty Torres, right? He's a professional athlete. He is a former Brave champion, an 8-time world MMA champion. He's a UFC veteran. He's a fly and bantamweight Titan champion. His pro career is 12-1-1. Amateur is 25-1. A 2-time international mixed martial arts champion. He's had one of the most stellar MMA careers that I've come across in my entire 35 years of existence. We've been kind of diving into that pretty heavily over the last few years anyway, just with the evolution. Obviously, everybody knows about the Conor McGregor era and coming up, and Johnny Bones Jones and all these different guys, and coming across this guy's record as well as his path. It's just been incredible. We got to sit down with him. He's in Mexico doing training right now. He took a little bit of time to sit there and talk with us. We got halfway through, and as usual, something technical we have to figure it out because we're still a young podcast. Had to figure some shit out, and I ended up getting cut out of Zoom halfway through. It is what it is. Kanyeezy was able to continue on, and like I said, Shorty is just absolutely phenomenal dude. I can't say enough about him. Just listening to him for 30 minutes, we both became unbelievable fans. We became lifelong fans, dedicated to watching this guy's career, and he just inspired everybody. You can tell with the way he lives his life and the way he does things. Just a truly inspirational guy. Before we get into the episode, please, whenever you get a chance, go to the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Go to Instagram, click follow. Go to Facebook. I think it's follow there, whatever the fuck it is. Make sure you guys are following on Spotify, right? Subscribe on Spotify. We appreciate you and we love you for everything that you guys do for us. Every time you hit that little button, you leave a little comment, right? You go in, press the share button, all that good shit. It helps us. It pushes the algorithm, and we are so motivated and inspired to make sure we bring you the best guests in the entire world. So please, whenever you get a chance, matter of fact, right now, before you see Mr. Jose, go ahead and right now hit that little subscribe button, drop a little comment, make sure you drop in your spice of the week. We want to know what made your week better. So without further ado, let us enjoy Mr. Shorty Torres. Here we go. Here we go. We're on. We're absolutely on. Thank you for coming on, brother. Here we are, guys. Let's get started. What is our drink of the pod? I have coffee here today. What do you guys got?
My coffee's on the way. I got a little Uber delivery on my side.
Wow,
I got some coffee in a shaker cup because I'm lazy to actually get a coffee cup.
that's badass,
Everything,
bro.
everything I drink is literally from the same cup, and I don't even think I rinse it. I just like drink it, and then it's like next thing's going in there. So it's a multitude of flavors.
Yeah. Tell me you're an athlete without telling me you're an athlete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember
Who
those
cares
We're,
days.
about?
we're like we're like the laziest, most non-lazy people.
That's awesome, man. Dude, give me a full introduction, man, because you got a resume that's a mile long, brother. So hit us with it, man. Let us know. Let the people know who they're talking to.
Oh man, my name is Jose Shorty Torres. I'm a eight-time MMA world champ, first ever two-time IMOF world champ, first ever two weight division Titan FC champion, and five-time defending. Man, UFC veteran, former Brave Bantamweight champion, uh, cool guy, small guy.
I ruled
Man,
the
I
world
do a lot.
once, just
I
the whole
it
thing.
well, it was a small world, but it was a world nonetheless. Um, but I do a lot of things. But yeah, man, it basically I found this out yesterday. Whatever you need to know or need to learn, I more than likely know it and I'm good at it, but I'm not great at it. So what is that? What is that phrase? It's like a master of none, but something
Oh,
of all.
Jack
I don't
Jack
know.
of all trades, master of none. Where did you begin your mixed martial arts career?
Oh man, I started when I was 4 years old. So I started with Shotokan karate. See, I got a little bit of a different background. My dad was a gang leader, and my dad he also wanted me to learn how to fight, no matter if I, wanted to learn or not. He's like, no, it doesn't matter if I was going to be a fighter, given that was his initial goal. He's like, man, you need to learn how to fight. My brother's 8 years older. My dad, obviously, definitely older than that, hopefully. And so for me, I was always the smallest one in the family, so I had to learn how to fight. And my dad, as much as I loved him, he wasn't the most, you know, it wasn't the best role model in the world. So for me, it was either I was getting beat up because we were play fighting and he was teaching me how to fight, or man, I was in his way in the wrong day. So I had no choice but to be tough. And so my mom saw the energy that I had, especially from watching, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, shows like that. So I ended up, going to Shotokan Karate, the local park district, and that was just that only killing neighborhood southside Chicago that never quit. So I just kept on going, and little I know, I get my black belt in that. Slowly transitioned to MMA, where I'm still at today, Combat Doe, Master Bob Shermer, when I was 16. And I just kept on pursuing it. Little I know, MMA started taking me around the world. It also kept me off the streets, but now it's taking me not just outside the city, outside the states, but to Europe, to the Middle East, to Asia, all these different nations and all these different continents. And I'm like, I'm just a little shorty from the south side of Chicago doing all these things. So for me, MMA has been like I still don't even like fighting. I hate beating people up. I hate doing this. I hate doing that. I'm the typical like good guy in the anime that's like I'd rather get hurt
Yeah.
than let anyone else get hurt. So for me,
Yeah.
it's a very different sport, but man, it helps pay my bills. It helps definitely take care of my family. It helps me take care of a lot of other people. And it's crazy how through all the violence that I've been able to, I guess, do and in a sense commit in my life and my sport, I've been able to
Yeah.
create so much peace and tranquility with so many things around it.
So, side note, give me your top three Dragon Ball Z characters of all time.
So I give reasons. I give reasons. So
Yes,
for
do it.
me, for me, I'm a Goku, but I'm a kid Goku. So like automatically, if you see me walking around, I'm naturally very optimistic. I'm pretty damn gullible because I'm like, what? What's that noise? I'm like that, the white person in a scary movie. I'm like, what's that noise? Fuck it, let's go check it out. And like I'm that person, like, let's go have some fun. Let's just go enjoy ourselves and super optimistic. Definitely like to eat a lot and have a good time. And no matter
Yeah.
what's going on in my life, I definitely enjoy the challenge and like to pursue. So for me, I like being that kid. And for me, huge Kanye West fan. I want to be able to always have the key to my treasure chest of childhood memories and let my playful imagination come out and just enjoy itself. So definitely Kid
Yeah.
Goku. I think second would be Teen Gohan because I'm a person that does not like to fight. But if you push me to my limit, you never piss off the nice guy. You never piss off
Dog.
the quiet guy. You never piss off the guy who's always trying to help others.
Yes.
Because once you break that seal, dude, somebody's gonna die. Um, there's that, and then I think lastly, just because he's up there when it comes to you always need a rival. One of my best friends growing up, uh, shout out to Julio. He's always been my Vegeta. He's literally my complete
Yeah.
opposite. Like, it's actually funny because like him and I are single, so we date. And apparently, like I love bomb, so I'm like, yo, I love you. You're amazing. I give love in the beginning just because that's how I am. On the other side, he's the asshole. Like he's just straight. Nah, you
Yeah.
do whatever I tell you to do, and then eventually, like you're gonna get love, but you're gonna have to work for it. If you want this, you're gonna have to work for this, and I got you on the love. So him and I are the complete opposites, and then we switch roles again. I end up being like the asshole at the end, and he ends up being like, "All right, cool, you earned this. Here's the love," So it's he is my complete opposite, and everyone needs a rival growing up. If you don't have a competitor growing up, man, you are always going to stay stagnant. You're always going to just be in one little place. And I love a challenge. He's always been more naturally talented, athletic again than Vegeta. And me, I've always had to work for what I've had for. So, those are my three favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's Goku,
That's
Teen
dope.
Gohan, and Vegeta.
That's dope, man. Keon, what you got? Hit me with it, bro.
Definitely, I'm a Piccolo. Obviously, I feel like he's the only black character on there. So he's green, but he's
Man,
black.
Piccolo is breaking every black stereotype. He's the best stepfather in the world.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
all day long, all day long. So I'm definitely a Piccolo fan because he's black. That's the only reason why. You gotta love Goku, given the fact that he is that guy. He is that silent. I feel like I have the same personality as him. Like I'm gonna root for everybody. I am definitely the person that I want to save everyone, but if I can't, I can't. And he really understood his limits, and he always pushed his limits. So I feel like that's just it coincides with my personality because I love pushing the limits. Like Buck would tell you, I challenged whatever his name is, David Goggins.
You
He was
challenged
like, "Man,
David
that guy's
Goggins. Yeah.
he's Navy." I was like, "You won't believe it, but real fighters know that it doesn't matter how hard that guy trained. It's who was ready, more prepared that day." And I feel like I prepare myself every day for whatever battle is going to be in front of me. No, I'm not a professional fighter, but I think I would love to been one. Being with Bruck, we played football, so that's the next best thing to fighting. When I can physically take out all my aggression on the next person, and it's justified because it's within the whistle. So for all intents and purposes, I love the mentality of Vegeta. And then you have, Goku. And then you have, I want to say Krillin. Low
Yeah.
key, a nice guy. And, at the end
Shout out to the shorties out there. Shout out to the shorties.
Yeah.
he always get picked on, but at the end of the day, he has the right mentality towards the right amount of fear, the right amount of curiosity. Like, okay, I don't think we should do that. And everyone's else like, oh yeah, we should do it. And he's always more reserved because he can see the full picture. So I love Dragon Ball Z for that very reason. And
Yeah.
those three guys, my three favorite characters.
This is the moment right here. This bullshit cut me out. So, deuces.
As a fighter, man, I don't know when to stop. I don't know where that level where you're supposed to. I always say, okay, your body is telling you when you shouldn't, when you should stop. But I have that Muhammad Ali mentality. He was like when he was jogging. I don't know if you ever seen that scene where he's jogging with his friends. He's like, man, I want my body to quit. I want my body to tell me no. I want my body to, just start failing on. And that's when I know it's time to keep going. That's when I know that's when the running starts, when the pain starts. So as far as you being a fighter, how do you know when to gauge, when to stop? Because we're all ego driven. We're all driven by our ambition to be the best.
Yeah, what was that quote by Muhammad Ali? I don't start counting until it burns. Like that's
Yes.
and that's true. For me, I grew up with that whole rocket mentality. Like just keep on pushing. That song's always playing in my head. Like I'm just going. So, for me, I've had a really prosperous career because I've overworked people, and usually I was never the most technical in fights. I just beat people out of conditioning, and then my technique came into play. So I was always like, man, as long as I outlast this, I got this. Or as long as I beat this man in this, every fight for me is a war of attrition. Like the longer it goes, I'm gonna get stronger. You're gonna die out because of my conditioning, because of all these things. But and there's that big but is man, especially in practice, we get hurt more in the training room than we do in the fight because we're doing too much. Like I'm now coaching fighters as well as fighting, and I have a guy here who is cutting a decent amount of weight, who's doing a lot in training, and I'm like, yo, you're practicing 4 times a day, and 3 of these are they're hard. Like I'm not saying you can't do it. Obviously you can, but and you might be able to do it 100% all 4 of them. But then tomorrow, can your body keep up? You're trying to create the same type of schedule, maybe 3 workouts, but there are 2 of them are hard and 1 of them are eh. And it's like, man, you gotta manipulate it. So I was telling them, man, I've learned throughout the years because of training and because of my fair share of injuries, and then also training with former and current UFC champions that it's like, hey, I was telling them the story of training with TJ Dillashaw, and him and I was his main sparring partner for John Lineker, the little Latin guy that's like, let's go, let's bang. And I had the conditioning, and I hit hard and all that stuff. And he's like, cool, I'm hiring you. You and I are gonna practice every single day. We're gonna spar 3 times a week, do all these crazy things. And on Wednesdays and Sundays, he'd take off, completely do nothing. And I'm like, you take 2 full days off? No, man, maybe Sunday's my day off. I don't want to take 2 full days off, and I think I'm 25 at the time. He's like, Shorty, take a day off. Like, rest. Trust me. And I'm like, your body just can't keep up. You're older. That's probably why. And out of nowhere, I'm in Denver. It's my first time really staying in Denver. So I was like, let me go run. There's a ton of trails there. Let me enjoy the scenery and all that stuff. So I run 5 miles. That was actually by accident. But I was like, let me just enjoy it. I'm just enjoying the scenery, and I just kept on going. And the next practice comes into play, and we spar. And it wasn't that he was not just more talented than me. I just couldn't keep up. I was like, man, I'm exhausted. And he goes, "You did something yesterday, didn't you?" I was like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" Like, no, no. And I was like, "Yeah, I just did a little run." And he goes, "How long do you run for?" I was like, "Give or take 5 miles." And he's just like, "That's why." He goes, "You can't move. Your legs are stiff. They're tired. You didn't give your body time to recoup and rest and relax. Like, it's okay to relax. It's actually smarter. It shows how much pride you can swallow when you relax. Like, we're very prideful people. When I was in Dagestan, I was overtraining to cut all my weight. I was, too paranoid about the weight cuts. Like, I need to sweat this much in practice. Do this, and do that. And out of nowhere, it wasn't even my muscles being tired. I ended up tearing ligaments because my muscles couldn't do some of the moves. Now my ligaments are they taking place in the muscles trying to compensate and overcompensate, and out of nowhere rips and tears come into play. And you guys already know, being athletes, man, ligament tears are horrible. I'd rather hurt a muscle for a little bit. Yeah, it take me a week or two and I'm good. Ligament tear might take a month, might take 6 months, might take a whole year or longer. So, and I've had my fair share. So there's that process where it's funny. One of my old friends would tell me, because you can doesn't mean you should. How about let's think outside the box. Yeah, can you do it? For sure. But let's look at the long run. Will it be worth it to an extent? Sure, work hard, do this, do that. But also, as a fighter, I think it's a very, very smart thing to have your coaches, to have your friends that you're really close with, that do care about you, that go, man, hey, you're kind of performing like shit. You should go home. Relax. It's okay. Like, just take the day off, do whatever, and then hopefully we can make up for all of that tomorrow when you're 100%. So, that's something I try to do is try to give myself that free range of asking somebody for help, which is a hard thing to do, and then two, also being able to listen to myself and go, you know what, man, I guess I gotta sit this one out and see where it goes from there.
I mean, that's smart when you think about it, like knowing when to go and when to stop. As a fighter, I would tell you, I was a trainer at one point in my life, and I was like, you know what, I can be a fighter. It's nothing. Like, just go out there and do it. And I went against somebody that was, elite, so to speak. And he was like, yeah, you think you can do it, right? I was like, yeah. Me and him are sparring, we're hitting the mitts and so on and so forth. And then he was like, real fighters can take kicks. And I was like, what's it? A kick is nothing. When I tell you he kicked me and it felt like my leg was broke. And I was like, how do you withstand this the entire time? No one really understands the emphasis behind those kicks. Hurt way more than punches. Punches are just like, okay, it feels like, yeah, you got me, but you don't really feel those hits.
Yeah, they're like
Unless it's like,
thumps.
yeah, they're like thumps. But kicks, on the other hand, it brings the bitch out. I don't give a damn what no one says. Like, oh yeah, he got me. He got me. I can't even put my leg down anymore. Like, I'm putting his leg back just because I don't want him to continue to kick that leg. So how do you persevere through that pain?
Let me give a small example before I get to that on my last fight, for example. So luckily, I've done very well in my career, and I've only lost 3 fights out of 41 MMA fights. I'm very happy
That's
about that.
amazing.
But those fights you remember. Thank you. You remember those fights because for me, it was always specific reasons. The two that I lost before this one was all mental. And this one, in a sense, I kind of lost mentally, but it wasn't because this time I wasn't trying 100%. It's because I let my ego come out too much to play. I let my inner Vegeta alter ego come out and like, yeah, let's have some fun. And knowing that I'd win the attrition battle, knowing that I'd win, in the long run, and that his punches didn't hurt me per se. But even though I'm saying his punches don't hurt me, because literally, for me, they didn't. Like you're saying, they're thumps. I don't see my face. I don't see how my body's reacting. Obviously, my team does. And so I'm not even moving my head. I'm like, yo, they don't hurt. I don't get that. These are pipettes to me. But little I know, my eye is swelling up because it can't take the damage. It's just natural. And you hit something so much, eventually, it's gonna pop. And that's what happened with this one. And I'm just like, man, this is an easy fight. I'm slowly winning. He's dying out. I'm having fun, and then I start bleeding and I can't see, and I'm like, oh, oh no, like my ego took a beating there. It's like, oh, my bad. I thought we were going in the right direction. Now, let's just keep on going. It'll be fine because we're fighters. We ain't gonna give up. And out of nowhere, I leave myself susceptible to the other side because I had no choice but to turn because I can't see. Now both eyes are covered with blood. It was like wiping my eyes with bad windshield wipers. You ever do that in the winter? It just makes it so much worse. And you're like, this didn't help at all. I shouldn't even turn them on. Like that's kind of how it was. So for me, my pride and ego lost me in my last fight. So when it comes to take care of yourself, again, that phrase "because I can" doesn't mean I should. 100% comes into play. And then you look at Mike Tyson quotes where he's talking about if you think this is a tough man sport, you're gonna lose inevitably, and then you're gonna get beat down to the ground because it's not a tough man sport. It's a smart man sport. Who just so happen these people are tough. Like this is what it is. So for me, again, I'm a conditioning guy, and I get that typical Goku, anime where I'm like, man, beat me up, I'd rather take the beating than somebody else. So I can take a beating, especially in my childhood. Man, I can take a beating. So for me, I always say no one's gonna hit me as hard as my dad hit me. So thanks, Dad, for preparing me for this sport. So for me, man, it's just I just I just take it and keep on persevering, and then also, um, it's that double edged sword. Like I take the beating, and I'm like, it sucked, but I'm tough. I'm gonna push through. I've taken calf kicks where I couldn't walk the next day. I've had multiple lacerations on my face where I'm like, damn, can my skin even take this damage anymore? Coming to the next fight or the fight after that, or how long is this career gonna go? I've torn ligaments because of overtraining. So it's being able to find different ways to swallow your pride, and then also go, this is the limit of pain I should take. And then once it's to a certain extent, like you got to create boundaries. You have to create some type of mental boundary with yourself and go, you know what? Especially in practice, where in a sense, technically, it doesn't matter to an extent. It's like, yo, why am I trying to break myself in practice when I still got a fight to do? That guy's gonna try to break me more than what my practice, partner's trying to do. So it's being able to figure out whatever type of boundary, but then also when you go to practice, hopefully you have the time or the friends or the people around you that go, hey man, again, like I appreciate what you're trying to do, but go home. Like you need to relax, you need to recover, you need to recoup in any sort of way, mental, physical, both, rehydrate, whatever the case may be, just relax. So it's that 100% is a trial and error type of thing, and everyone's extremely different. But that's a personal journey that you have to swallow your pride and understand.
I mean, don't get it twisted. Now, as a fighter, I want one question before I interrupt. Is I always feel like practice is way more intense than the actual fight. Just like in a game, we prepare way harder than the actual game. After the game, I feel great. After practice, I feel like shit. So as a fighter, it's kind of the opposite because your nose is going to be bleeding after every fight. I don't care if you barely got hit. That's going to happen no matter what. And then your body, the recovery, the road to recovery. Anybody that's a fighter knows, like after that fight, it's going to take a while to recover from that actual, what you just put yourself through. It's a car accident. I don't care what anyone says. It's just like football. You're going through a car accident. So how long is the longest it took you to recover from a fight? Like, what was your worst fight and how long did it take you to recover?
Man, I can tell you, like I've broken multiple bones in my feet, my hands. I've cracked my sternum once. I've cracked a rib. I've torn multiple ligaments, multiple lacerations, and I've had a lot of those injuries leading up from practice to the fight. Most of the injuries that happen in a fight are because of what you had to endure in practice. People think like, oh, I had great training. Sometimes it just is what it is. For me with these lacerations, like it is what it is to the last fight. But there's some that are like, I remember I got dropped in a fight and I tore my LCL, or excuse me, my MCL on my right knee. And I was after the fight, I was like, man, I thought I felt good, but leading up to the practice, people were telling me they're like, dude, you were so unstable in certain areas, you were overtraining, you were running a lot, like you're making your knees probably a little bit weaker because you were tired while running this hard, like your ligaments are overcompensating. So whatever you did in practice, even though in a sense you felt good, you went to the fight 50% and it got hurt more because of it, or it finally got hurt in the fight because of all the stuff you did in practice. So, no training camp is perfect, and no matter what, you're never going to go into a fight 100%. That's life, So you want to be as best as you possibly can be, but we see where it goes from there. But man, I've easily had more injuries in practice and more long lasting injuries in practice than I had in fights. I think my two longest layoffs have been about a year and a half because of injuries, and then also the mental side of when I had my ligament tears of being comfortable enough or gaining the comfortability to want to go back in there and feel good and go, you know what, I can do this. It's like when I tore my knees, the first step now just to walk was to try to get my heels on my butt, just try to sit on my heels again. And it took me almost, I think, a year to finally do that without really having to warm up to do it. So it's just a crazy journey of the simplest things that we can do now. You get injured, try to do the same. When I broke my hand, I was like, let me make a fist. And I'm like, this on my hand, I'm just like, I can't. I look like I'm throwing a gang sign. I was like, yo, I can't do this. So even like the simplest things were really, really difficult. So it takes time to take some comfortability and getting used to. Given sometimes you have to push through it, but the fact is, like, you got to listen to your body, and if your body tells you to rest, like, swallow your pride, and it's
I
okay
mean,
to
so
rest.
you're a legit warrior when it comes to doing this. There's no ifs and buts about it. You live a warrior lifestyle. So do you ever think like, man, I should have went down this path, or do you always think like, man, I chose the right path for me?
Man, I think that every day. I think that every day. I have a shower. I have a shower arguing with myself every single
Yeah.
day, and I shower twice a day. So for me, it's just a natural thing where we always think of the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and I mean that's a natural thing, but that's also the process of learning and growing where you have to accept the fact that what you've done now, you possibly can't turn back and change the outcome or change the direction you're going for the most part. But you also have the time to go, you know what? I went through this. I did this. Damn, I didn't make the right decision. Okay, cool. Let's figure it out. So hopefully, if the same scenario or around the same scenario kind of come into play, I can make the better choice this time. So it's being able to listen to your body, learn how to say no for sure, and then also just kind of go, logistically, not. And I'm an impulsive guy too, where I'm just like I get emotional. I'm like, yo, let's do this, and I'm like, that was my bad. I got too excited. Or I had a great idea, but then I didn't really think it through for the long run. I just thought of short term. So these little things, man, I wouldn't say I regret a lot of things, even though for sure. The fact is, whatever happened has happened, and I've accepted the fact in my own head that whatever has gone on in my life was probably going to happen anyways. So, you know what? I've got to accept it that way. Not overthinking and go, cool, I'm this because of all the stuff I've done. Probably no matter if I made the choice in that shower argument that I, said I should have done, it probably would have been inevitable anyways. It probably would have just prolonged what was going to happen in the first place.
I'm a firm believer that you're exactly where you're supposed to be at. Like I always think, like, man, I should have went into fighting. I shouldn't have went into football. I shouldn't have went into track. I should have went into a place where I'm in control. Like regardless whether your opponent is out trained or better than you or more prepared than you are, you're still in control. Like I know I need to protect myself. I know I need to guard myself. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what my strengths are, and you can really polish yourself in every aspect of fighting. Like when I think about fighting, I think about, I can't even think his name. He's one of the best fighters to ever do MMA. He's went undefeated completely the entire
Oh,
time. Everyone talks
Khabib
about
Nurmagomedov.
Khabib. Yeah, yeah. When you see Khabib, you're like, okay, he's the most well-rounded fighter I've ever seen, whether it's on the ground or up in the air. He's the tough guy, but he's the silent, humble guy. Like I love that mentality about him. But he knew, all right, I'm at my peak. I'm at the part where this is no longer serving me to be the gladiator anymore. I'm okay with taking a back seat. So, in your career, how do you gauge when you'll be done, when you're officially done with, and you're going to take the back seat, whether it's at a high or at a low? Where do you see that?
It's crazy because I do mental health videos on my Instagram, every weekday, and they're all on different topics. And one of them I just haven't had. I do three stories, and usually they're all like a minute each. But I try to make them similar to each other to where again, there's three people here in the chat. Man, maybe I understand one of them where it hits me the most, and y'all two are like, cool. Like what I get it, but whatever. And then the next story, it's like, oh man, I understand it now. It makes sense to you. So for me, there's actually one story of a soccer player that's like, no one teaches us about retirement. No one teaches us that this sport is going to end. We just know that we're competitors and push forward. And when your career officially ends, the competitor in you has to die. Because if not, you're always gonna want to get back in there. You're gonna be like Chuck Liddell, where it's like, I'm gonna do it, and then you get knocked out. I'm gonna do it again at 50, you get knocked out. Oh, I'm gonna do it. It's like, dude, you're this is the competitor hasn't died, but your body's dying. So for me, I've always said I guess really two things, but mainly the first one is I've been in sports since I was 4 years old. So I've been doing this, what is that, 27 years now. Or 20, yeah, 27 years, 26, no, 27, I don't know. I get punched in the head. So for me is I want to do this as long as I possibly can because once this career is over, no matter what day it is, tomorrow, today, and 20 years from now, it's over. And there's nothing I can do, and I have to be able to accept that. And I always thought about if like if my body can't compensate anymore, then it can't do it. If I'm being a gatekeeper and only hanging out with the youngins and I'm losing to them, man, I can't do it anymore. If I'm just doing it for the fun of it, man, I could punch people, for free inside the gym. Unless I'm making this gigantic payday and I'm doing celebrity boxing fights, So for me, it comes up. There comes a point where you're gonna have to swallow your pride and make those plans. I wouldn't say early in your career, but go. You know what, hey man, realistically, why? I think it's more why would you retire, not when. Why would you retire? Man, my body can't keep up. Man, my body's too old, or all these people are beating me up, and is it worth the money for the injury? So I think that's the point. I'm gonna do this as long as I can. I always say for sure I want to make it till I'm 36, but I'm also a small guy that's had 41 MMA fights plus hundreds in wrestling and 50 plus in kickboxing, Muay Thai. Like I've taken a fair share of beatings, so my body definitely feels older than it should, but I'm also comfortable enough to where I'm coaching fighters. I'm, training other people from around the world. I commentate for a living. I'm hoping to start my own podcast. I'm hoping to actually have a show soon. Like I'm trying to do as many things outside the sport, using the sport as my like my truck pushing forward to go. You know what? This is gonna end, but this is what got me all this other stuff. So I'm slowly trying to transition in my prime right now to other things, and I'm really excited about it. So when I do leave, it's never about the money. And that's a hard part about the sport. It's like, man, I need to fight. The whole George Foreman story where it's like, I did well in my career, I'm done. And it's like, oh man, the lights are off. I gotta fight again. So I'm hoping to create some type of avenue to where even though if the competitor never dies, in my head I'm like, but do I want to get punched in the face? Because I'm kind of making more money right now, So is it worth it? I can go be punched for free in the gym. So I'd rather do that.
So it's more like not when your body gives out. You say 36. I'm 36 right now, and I still go fight every Thursday. I go balls to the wall. And Brooks like, man, that's the only day that I call myself, hey, I'm non-committal. Don't call me on Thursday. That's my outlet. That's my sense of peace. That's what I look forward to the most each and every week. I don't care about payday because money gonna come and go. I don't care about, what's going on in like bills or this, that, and the third, because they're going to take care of themselves and doing exactly what I need to do. But when it's time for me to get down, fight, I'm like, yep, let's do it. I don't care if it's a woman in there. If you came in there and you say I'm ready to fight, it's going to happen. I'm an equal opportunist asshole. I want everybody to be okay with where it goes. If you sign up for the class, I'm going to give you my best, and that's my goal in life, is to give you my best. How do you feel at this point in your career?
Everything's been good. I'm hoping for another title fight coming up soon. And I'm doing well. I'm cornering fighters, I'm coaching fighters. I'm in Mexico right now, literally just a corner fighter. So I'm happy that in my sport, with all my expertise, that I'm able to help other people grow and hopefully be future champions like myself and that much better. But right now, I still have other things to focus on. I have the free time right now to help corner fighters and help coach them and help them pursue their dreams. But I still got aspirations in my future as well. I'm an 8-time world champ. My goal is to make it 10, and if I make it to 10, let's make another goal, because I'm trying my best not to be content. And that was my downfall when I was in high school and college, where I'm like, I want to make this goal, and then I hit the goal, and I'm like, oh damn, what now? Like I wasn't expecting to be this persistent. I wouldn't even say this talented, but just this committed to where I'm like, oh man, I got the goal. Damn, I kind of wasn't expecting. It was more of a dream goal than a goal. So for me, I have things I still want to do, and if I don't hit them, then man, I accomplished way more than most people have done in their careers. Once. I've done it 8 times. So being able to do what I've been able to do, I'm extremely happy, but I'm also never content. So when my body literally tells me I can't compete at the championship level anymore, then at that point it's time. If I'm not top 5, no matter what, then I gotta go. And that's more not just for myself as a competitor, but also just for my safety of my possible future family. Of like, hey man, you want to be able to have a father or a partner that's there, that can reciprocate all these things, not be no offense to him, but Muhammad Ali with Parkinson's and all that stuff, where it might have just been all that head damage that he took, and now look where he was. So it's the same thing with me. I've had my fair share of injuries where I talk to my girl at the time, and I'm just like, man, you're gonna be taking care of me, like this is gonna be a long year, or a long, life. But it's the fact of I know I have a lot more to go, and now I have the knowledge of being able to swallow my pride, hopefully, and be able to do this and be able to do that with my trials and tribulations of this career. But I'm excited to see what comes next, and I'm 31, so technically I'm in my prime. Small guys, we take a little more beating, so our prime is like 28, 30, stuff like that. But I feel good, and I'm excited, man. So I'm just hoping that with this last fight that I had, I've only lost 3 times out of the 41 fights. I haven't lost since 2018, so it's crazy. When I was gonna fight, I'm like, man, can't wait till this fight's over. I want to go home. I'm tired, And then I lose the fight because of the lacerations, and then I go home, and right when I just got off the medical bed, and I get my stitches, and I'm like, man, I just want to go home and train. People are like, what, dude? Relax. I'm like, I feel fine. I'm just, I couldn't see because of the blood, and I'm just like, damn, this guy beat me. I should have never let him beat me. Like, I already beat him once, So, because it's a trilogy fight. So I'm just like, man, I already beat him once, and now he beat me. Nah, fuck that. I gotta get redemption. So for me, I think one of the scariest things is a man looking for redemption. So because that guy's gonna do anything to get it. So for me, it's a nice kick in the ass to go, damn. I guess I do love the sport. Damn, I guess I do have that competitor still in me. Damn, I guess I am a little bit violent. I need to be. So it's a cool thing, man. And I'm excited to see what's next. But I am 100% going one day at a time.
Now tell me, what was the best moment in your career thus far?
Man, I'm a very outside the sport type of guy. So when people are like, what's the best moment of your career? Honestly, my father passed away in 2019. So for me, my father wanted me to do the sport. So anytime we would go home and watch, because we weren't, at least him and I, to the public, we weren't emotional towards each other. Like I have a fight where I won my second belt, and technically that's the highlight of my career. Because I won the second belt, double weight class champion, first ever in Titan to do it. I bumped up. I got dropped in the first round. I actually broke my hand and tore my MCL. I did all these things, and I came back stronger, and I won the battle of attrition, and I won my second belt. I'm like, yeah, it's the highlight of my career. But being able to go home and rewatch the fight with the rest of my family while my immediate family's there, my mom, my dad, my brother, and we're watching and put it on the TV, I was like, I don't like rewatching my stuff. Like if you guys put this podcast out, I more than likely personally won't rewatch it because I don't like myself. I don't like my voice. So for me, I'm just like, oh, he's a philosophizer now. You're like, I don't like myself. So for me, I put my fight on, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, cool. Let's whatever. Guys, there's the fight. And I'm like, do whatever, and I'm trying to study myself a little bit, and I look over, and my dad is like crying. And I'm like, man, what are you crying for? Like the fight already happened. Like, stop it. Like, I get, like, you're nervous during fights and you anxiety, your sons get beat up or whatever the case may be, but stop crying. And he just starts crying. And I guess he wasn't a very emotional person. He's like, man, I'm so proud. And I'm just like, man, stop being cheesy. Like, stop it. And then later on in life, when you start to realize it's like, man, that's every son's, dream really is to make their father proud. No matter if you become like him or better, So that to me is like the highlight of my career of being able to win fights, and then after watching fights with my father and my dad, just going like, man, we used to study fights when you were a kid on purpose because my dad would make me watch boxing fights if they're on Comcast or HBO after dark, and go. My middle name Angel. He's like, Angel, who's winning? All right, cool. Why is he winning? What's the other guy need to do to start, coming back? And he would make me watch and study fights. So now we would study my fights, and he's just like, oh, I'm so proud. Like, we used to do this, and now we're watching you up there. I'm just like, okay, cool, man. I appreciate it. So those are my biggest moments.
I'm with you. I'm gonna tell you from a personal standpoint, like watching your son achieve whatever goal you guys both set in hand. Bro, I can tell you, we coach every weekend, and I tell my son, if you don't score, that game didn't count. Like you
Mm-hmm.
are supposed to dominate. You have me in your corner, and I'm a veteran in this arena. So you're supposed to be better. You're supposed to excel. You're supposed to score. And that's my expectation for you. But it still feels good whenever you see him do it. Like, I try my best
Mm-hmm.
not to look at him. Like, when he scored his first touchdown, I was like, yeah, that's my boy. He scored his second
Mm-hmm.
touchdown. I was like, we're going to have a lifelong journey like this where he's going to continue to exceed expectations. So from one father to, your dad is always looking at you with just the best joy, the best pride. I don't care about sex. I don't care about money. When I see my son perform and he excels and he dominates, that's the best feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to negate that at all. Like what you have accomplished is you don't even know what you did for your dad. Like the reason why he cried is because he's the only person that had this vision. He's the only
Yeah.
person that seen you. You came from him and he had no direction. You have kids and you just like, okay, I wonder what they're going to be. And he had
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, he's a fighter. My boy's a fighter. Not only is he a fighter, but he's a champion. So to see you excel to that level, I want you when you get in that shower and you contemplate whether you're doing you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Understand you're exactly where you're supposed to be at. And your dad couldn't be more proud with the life that he got a chance to live, watching you just ascend to the next level.
Yeah.
So Buck's question is like, have you ever had a moment where things just didn't go right completely? Like, what was that like when you had a game plan and it went completely jarring left? Like you said, I got knocked out in the first round and then I had to
Mm-hmm.
counterbalance. I had to come up with a different game plan. Have you ever, what was that moment like? Your worst
Uh,
situation ever happened?
to get back to the last thing before I get to that, that was dope. I've never, heard that insight given. I'm not a father that I know of. I don't think I have any kids, but the fact is, like, to be able to have that, like, you become a different person when you have kids, from what I hear. I'm just naturally assuming. And then, like, you'll do anything to protect them and have them achieve their goals and this and that. So being able to hear that perspective is like, huh, that's why I was like, man, my dad's be a little bitch. I was just like,
Yeah,
this is dope. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But I think honestly, it was my last fight. I mean, I've had my fair share of like, oh, well, that didn't go as planned, but I'm very Goku-esque where I kind of don't even go with the plan. I'm a feeler. Vegeta was the one with the strategy. He's the one that had the plan. He's very like scientific. It's a chess match. This, that. Me, I'm just like, let's have some fun and I'll feel it out. See where it goes. Cool. It's going that way. Well, let's go that way. It's going this way. Well, I'm not going to fight it. Let's go that way. So, I have fun in my fights. My last fight, for example, I was confident even on the feet that I would beat him up. And even though he's landing more pop shots, I'm landing the more significant strikes. So the problem is pop shots add up. And I'm not obviously paying attention to myself. I'm having a fucking jolly good old time. I'm just having, blast. And I go in there and I'm landing body shots. I'm doing this. And you hear him not gasping for air, but I'm like, oh, these hurt. Like, all right, cool. Like, you're going to die out. Give one more round and I got you. I'm not worried. And then out of nowhere, I took one punch. I guess my eye was swelling up a little bit. And it blew up enough to where just one punch, one knuckle hit perfectly, and it blew up. And it wasn't like a cut, it was like a flap of skin. So I'm just like, oh shit, I can't see him. My left eye is my dominant eye. So I have to turn my head. And as the fight's going on, he's throwing elbows. I blocked all of them except for the one when I finally turned my head. I had no choice but to take it. And now I can't see from both eyes. And I'm like, okay, this is a bit of a problem. Let's see if the bleeding stops. And obviously it doesn't when your adrenaline's running high. And so I remember before the ref, took me over to see the doctor, I was like, man, I can't see anything. I'm taking these little pop shots, and I can kind of see he's being nice to me. Like he's just like, man, I don't want to hurt him. Like he's already like bleeding, and that's the mercy of the sport, and I appreciate it. But I'm like, screw it, let me shoot in, but I have to shoot below the knee because I'm afraid I'm gonna run into it. And so I shot in, and I didn't see anything, but I felt the wind of a knee like grazing me. And I was just like, oh, like you ever dodge something, you're like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
it was
I've been
it
spit
was
with.
just it was just that. And I remember, I took him down, but he was able to get out. I didn't expect even to get the takedown. And then, the ref pulled me to the side and the doctor's looking at me. And the doctors, they like me. So they're like, man, it's a championship fight. We get it. Like, there's no arteries showing, so you're just bleeding. It sucks. But, yeah, in all technicality, you're kind of fine, but you're also not. So they were that 50-50 where it's like, let's just clean them up real quick and then send them back in there. And so they sent me back in there, but they're like, can you see? And me, I'm honest. I'm like, no, I can't see, but now let's go. I want to die on my shield. And in my head, I'm just like, I can't see for shit. Like, stop the fight. And so they sent me in there, and I'm like, oh, you guys want me to die? Okay, cool. And so I go in, and in my head, I'm like, all right, how about this? And this is where that pride had to be swallowed because my pride got me in trouble to that situation. It put me in that place. I'm like, you know what? Let me give myself one more minute. If if nothing happens in that minute, then I'm done. Like you're the better man today. It is what it is. And so I go in there, and I think I lasted maybe about 30 seconds. And you can tell he's being nice, which obviously comes into play for me, where I'm like, damn, if he's showing mercy to me, shit, like this ain't a good thing for me. Plus, he's landing little pop shots, even though I'm blocking. I'm just playing defense, and there's no point for me to just possibly get hurt more. I've already won one fight against him. He now wins this one. In my head, I'm like, I got a trilogy. Like that's exactly what everyone wants. But man, I got to take this loss, and especially against a guy I've already beat, and I know I can beat. So I take this loss, and I remember just like putting my hands on. I'm like you got me, and he understood immediately. He's like, oh yeah, I won. I'm just like and after my pride was just like, you son of a, like, my bad. My pride was mad, and I'm mad at my pride. I was like, dude, you got us in trouble there. You can come out to play, but let's figure out a happy medium. So that was the point where it's not even what happened in the fight. I look at it now, like I'm gonna go to spar in about 30 minutes, and I have to wear this headgear, to wear heads and nose protector because I can't get hit in the face. If I get hit in the face, my stitches might open up pretty easily. So I have to be as smart as possible because whenever my next fight may be against maybe the same guy or someone new, man, one punch could just open me up, and now I lose because of cuts that happened in the last fight or however many fights later. So that's the hard thing about this career is that whatever injuries you take, whether in practice or in the fight, they're gonna come back to haunt you if you don't take care of yourself. So for me, that's why I just got that headgear yesterday. So I'm doing that to help my guy, and then also obviously to protect myself and better my career later on.
I mean, it's one of those things as a fighter. I think about what's his name. He's Nate Diaz. You can
Mm-hmm.
punch Nate at any point; it's just gonna break. That cartilage is just not
Mm-hmm.
tight anymore. Like that's a fighter, and all extensions of the word. Like when you get to that point, like I know for a fact this is just loose. This can
Yeah.
bleed at any time, but you still know that going into the fight, like I'm gonna bleed. How do you just balance that out. Like I'm preparing myself for me not being able to see because I know that's something that you have to look forward to, whether he does or not. If he does hit you, I'm going to be bleeding here. How do I adjust to not being able to see next time?
The biggest thing for me as a fighter and as an athlete, I actually really enjoy training while I'm hurt. The reason why, to an extent, obviously, like if I can move and I can still compete, then yeah, let's go in there and still spar. But I've had injuries where like I still have like a small, I don't know if you can see, like a
Oh
fat
yeah,
ass finger.
yeah, that's bro. Yeah,
I was like, I was
that's
like,
jam.
I was like, I need a girlfriend. But like I have all these different things where I've had injuries, I've had cuts, I've had broken bones or really really bruised or sprained bones, to where you touch me, I'm like, oh man. But the fact is, a lot of fighters don't practice. Again, there's a happy medium. Don't practice that stuff because they're all they do is think about that pain. You have to push through whatever pain. So for me, I still spar with my middle finger. I still used to punch when my hand was semi healing. Obviously, again, to an extent, there's levels to this. I have bruised bones from kicking someone's elbow. That stuff's gonna happen in a fight. I've had a broken hand in a fight. I've had where my calf is still torn up. I can barely walk from calf kicks. I've had multiple lacerations. Sometimes, again, to a reasonable extent, you have to go in there and practice that stuff because if you're not used to some type of pain, by the time you feel that pain inside a fight, you're gonna back out and you're gonna hide away extremely fast. So I don't want to make any type of excuse and go, damn, this hurts. Oh, can't practice. It's like, then you're gonna make excuses over, bigger things later on. When if you're making excuses on these little things now, even though you can't practice, you just, not doing certain shit, then once that stuff happens in a fight, you're gonna fold because you don't know how to react. So, for example, for me, when I've had other cuts. Now it's on both sides, which makes it even worse. But I've had other cuts. I can't get punched in the face. I'm good with rolling with punches, but I can't get punched in the face for the most part. So what do I have to do to not get punched in the face? I don't just have to move my head. I gotta fucking move. Now I have no choice but to move. It's not stylistically what I like to do, but I know something that I can do. So let's practice this. I have no choice but to. And that's also going to make me a better fighter because every single fight is different. I'm going to have these injuries. I'm going to have that injury. Or stylistically, whatever my style is, your style might be a kryptonite. So that means that maybe, just maybe, I have to move, and that's actually your kryptonite. So I have to figure out different styles in a fight, and injuries help me better adapt to that because if you don't adapt to every type of scenario in practice, again, you're going to fold when you're under the lights.
I'm glad you know exactly what you're up against, how to conquer whatever's in front of you. It's just another mile. I look at it like that. It's one step at a time. Buck telling me like we gotta go to the spice of the week, which is my favorite thing of the week. And you just brought it to the full circle. I'll let you know what the spice of the week is. It's just what's your most favorite moment of the week that makes the week good? I don't care if I got fired. I don't care if my car got stuck in the ditch. What made your week good? And for me, every week is seeing my son go out there and give it his all. And he has my mentality when it comes to he already knows what lets me down and what I know how to make my dad proud. And every run I'll make my dad proud. And for me, my spice of the week was seeing him score in his last game. It got called back. But I didn't care. Like Bro could tell you, I didn't care. He ran directly at the kid, did a nice spin. I want to say he stiffed him, but it is what it is. And 99 yards on the sideline, he scored. And at this point, I stopped looking at him because I'm the coach. So you got to stay poised the entire time. Like it's your son. I want to celebrate with him. I want to go and jump, and do our handshake, and do what we do. But at the same time, I have to be immense poised about it. But the kid inside of me is so excited to see him score each and every time he touches the ball or what he does when he touches the ball. So that's the highlight of my week. I don't care if I ran out of gas, my tire blew.
Yeah.
That's what I look forward to the most each and every week going forward. This year, 2024, is just watching him grow. So you're not a dad just yet. But when that happens, the only thing that transitions is because you become the biggest fan of someone that just came from you. I'm rooting for him in every aspect of life, and that's always my spice of the week. I mean, don't get it twisted. The sauna, Bruck just bought a sauna, and being in his sauna at his house was amazing. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so I watched the game in the sauna. That was amazing. I know we lost. It kind of hurt to see my
Yeah,
team lose, but being in the sauna and helping my body recover is just the best thing about it. It's like, as you train, like, how am I going to recover? It's going to be a cold plunge. It's going to be the sauna.
yeah.
How do I do active recovery and still burn calories and still get what I want from the results? So that's amazing. I think that's what Buck Spice of the Week is. Getting in the sauna, feeling the weight,
Mhm.
standing there for 45 minutes and watching the weight just drop, and you're not even doing
Yeah.
anything. So what was the best part of your week thus far?
It, it actually happened yesterday. Given yesterday was Monday, so I guess that kind of works to start my week. The reason why I say it, and how about this? I'll make it fair. Since yesterday was just the start of the week, I'll give so far what's been my week this week and the last week. This week, man, I'm here in Mexico to corner a fighter, and I'm 31 years old, so I'm not at all gonna open up my own gym and start training people, one on one for a good amount of time. I'm here just to help. It just so happens that he's gonna take care of me, and I'm in Mexico and doing all these crazy things. But a few weeks ago, and then now yesterday, he brought in other people, and a lot of guys bailed on him. They said they were gonna do this, said they were gonna do that. Oh yeah, I'll help. And then you ask for help, you're like, I got stuff to do, and it's like, no, man, I told you I was here to help. Told you I can fulfill the promise. I have the time. I got you. So I come here, and yesterday was our first day training where I'm the coach. I was like, let me take care of it. I got it, and I'm in a sense putting people in their place of like. When I'm coaching, it's like serious dad mode for me or serious big brother mode. It's like cool, let's figure it out. I make it fun. Other people come in the room. I was like, hey, you can be in the room, but shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want you bothering my guy. Like, you can watch, you can take notes, you can do whatever. And if, no offense, if you want to be a part of it, get out. Like, I just want me time with my guy. And so I cornered him, I coached him, and I'm teaching him. I like to start off basics. The whole Bruce Lee method. Simplicity is best. If you don't master the basics, you're not going to master anything else. Like, you can't do a spinning back kick without learning a regular kick first. So I'm showing him the basics of stuff, especially because he knows everything else, but he didn't master the basics. And now, like literally after, he's like, "Man, I'm so happy." And I'm a words affirmation guy, so for me, he's like, "Man, I'm so happy I brought you." Dude, no, you're not a friend. Right now, you're my coach. Like you are my coach. You whatever you tell me, I will do. And I'm just like I'm like he man. I'm like I have the power. Like I felt so good. I was like thanks man. I appreciate that. He goes no. You have so much knowledge. I want to work under you. Like I don't want to. Or I want to train under you. I don't want to just do this fight. Like no matter what happens in this fight, you're teaching me so much that I haven't learned months at a certain place or whatever the case may be. Like you are actually trying to teach me, and you're trying to figure out my style, not just go cool. Do this. Why? Because it works. It's like no, do this. Oh yeah, you like this, right? Okay, cool. Let's kind of figure it out so it works in your style. It might not be 100% in your favor, but you never know. There might be a time where this move is going to come into play. You might need it. So let's try to get you to understand as much as possible. So for him to give me the acknowledgement of like, dude, you're helping me. And I appreciate it, especially for his UFC debut. He's like, man, I'm banking everything on this. This is his life. He has 2 kids, all that stuff. So it's like, to be able to have a person really go thank you, like a legit, genuine thank you is phenomenal to me. And then last week, one, I got this dope MTV sweater that, when they actually played music, but I ended up like just running into people and meeting someone that I'm actually kind of mad that I met. Because you ever like vibe with somebody, so like we've all been through our fair share of dramatic bullshit, where especially relationships where you meet someone and you're like, this is almost too good to be true, and then you kind of like let it happen. You're like, fuck, you're dope. And I'm a positive negative reinforcement guy. So if I talk shit, it means I like you. She's like, oh, like, how's your day or this, that, I'm gonna buy you this gift or whatever the case may be. I'm like, go fuck yourself. But thank you. I was just like, like, I was like, damn, man, you're fucking dope. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm just like, hey, like it's almost a speechless thing. So it's nice to be able to know. I think last week, how about this? I think the best way to put it, and especially you being a single father, is I found in a sense hope again. Where it's like, oh shit, there are some dope ass women still out there that don't want this, don't want that. They're actually genuine people that I can vibe with. I don't have to kind of semi force certain things. Like this is Dope. So, for me, man, I think that was the highlight of my last week to be able to go, man, there's some really, really cool people out there that enjoy me back and want to just give me stuff in return instead of just take.
I mean, that's what's up. That's what's up. That I mean, the world needs more people like that. That goes without saying. Like, I feel like everyone has an objective or kind of like a motive behind getting to know you or meeting you or getting say things from you. And when people don't want anything, just your time or to help you, that's what I look forward to the most. I generally get that from kids, although they are selfish little bastards. I generally get that from kids where they just want your help. They just want your encouragement. So it's good to hear that adults are still going in that direction as well. Where they just enjoy being around people.
You got to be like Jordan. What's that one Jordan quote? Fuck them kids. Like that's it. I'm from Chicago. He's a role model, so automatically, nah, I'm not. I'm not doing it. It's what Jordan told me. So he's the best in the world for a reason.
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Now, I will say it was a pleasure having you on, man. We got to do this live in person. Obviously, with
Yeah,
Bruck having
hopefully.
the malfunction, there's no hope behind it. Like, me and Bruck love traveling. Like, you won't believe it. As a single man, I don't have to ask. It's like, okay, hey, you're going to be with your mom this week. I'm gone. Like, once the season is up and it wraps up in March, me and Bruck, we have a trip on March 3rd that we're going to take off on. So it's more so in the sense of just making things happen. They're not going to just happen. You got to make them happen. So, Shorty, we got to make it happen. Like, I don't care if I got to go to Mexico.
Let's do it.
We can go out, have a good time. Bruck is married, so we can't do a couple things with him. We'll leave him in the hotel. But as far as like just going out
You're
and
the
having a good
designated
time,
driver. You're the
he's
designated driver.
designated driver. He's designated the DU, whatever they call it, DUB, whatever they call it. He's that guy. But man, it was a pleasure having you on. I hope you have one of these where it's just your podcast because you're inspiring. You're not just on what you do for a living, but who you are. We need more positive men. We need more men that are talking about, mental health as well as the trials and tribulations of what they face. Everyone goes through their own silent battles, and you're upfront about it. You're talking about it. You're transparent about it. And as a father, I feel like that's what my son needs to see. That's what my son needs to hear. That we all go through things, but you're gonna be out. You're gonna be okay on the other end. You're exactly where you're supposed to be at. I want to encourage you, man. Keep going. You got a fan for life now with me. I know the
Hey,
same
bro,
thing with
thank you.
Buck, man. We tune in, we watch all the MMA fights, so it's a done deal. Like this was definitely much needed. I appreciate your time. I look forward to doing this again. Gonna sign off. 2 Dimes in the token. It's Shorty. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brooke. Whenever you get an iPhone, but we'll talk then.
on Verizon or any type of service. It's like you got Sprint over there, Metro. I think that's got
2 dimes and a token.